Thank you everyone for coming to this book launch, and here is the book. And yeah, it's been quite a journey for me, that's for sure. I didn't expect this book to come out in the way it did. In fact, I had another book in mind, and it sort of just started to pour out. I think it was late summer last year. Just these poems started to pour out, and it was almost hard to capture them. They were coming so thick and fast, and so it was like, okay, life. Then there was a lot that were coming, and so it became quite obvious. Okay, this is obviously a book. Not what I expected. Definitely not what I expected. But it's very, very dear to my heart because it's very intimate. This is like very much a sense of my experience of the heart, and I wanted to share with you the prologue. I thought that might give you a sense of what this book is about. It's very short, so prologue. I am but a faithful scribe of the whispers of life revealing themselves. Just as the valley is unveiled through the morning mist, these words gently surrendered themselves to me, intoxicating my whole system as they go, drawing me into the exquisite depths of that which they point to. My heart, nay, my whole being, breaks open again and again to the radical surrender and love of this sacred life. May these outpourings on these pages draw you into yourself, open you up, and wrap around you like a cozy blanket on a crisp, cold autumnal morning. Listen with your whole being, and you will hear the words that are sung here, deep in your heart. These are not just poems. They are meditations on the heart and a transmission from the heart for the heart. Each poem, each sentence, each word, each space of silence between, an invitation and a calling. In love and service, Imogen. So that gives you a sense of what this book is about. It is an invitation to really sink into what is being spoken here. It's a transmission. I'm planning on doing an audiobook. It's already happening. And that too will give you an invitation even further, I feel. So hopefully later on in the summer that will be released. But yeah, so it gives you a sense of where this poetry came from and what I see it is for. It really is an invitation. And so as such, I hope that you'll enjoy that invitation and really allow yourself to sink into it. And I thought I might read a few, although it was really quite hard to choose some. I have 4 here marked. I don't know if we'll get to 4. We could do it to see how you guys feel, but we'll start with 1 and see where we go from there.
So beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they're very intimate to me. Not maybe something that the wider population maybe will get. I hope they will, but I think those that can hear it will hear it in their hearts. So this one is called This is the Way of the Heart. Okay, this is the way of the heart that knows, where all shadows and shame, all confusions and delusions are pierced so brilliantly and yet so tenderly by the unconditional eyes of divine consciousness. This is the way of the heart. She calls the names of those that find their feet on this path and those that dare to listen. This is the way of the heart. All right, we'll go for another one. What was this one called? They're all titled at the beginning, but yeah. The veiled. The veiled is unveiled. The breath catches, and a sinking happens into a repose with life. What magnificence this divine remembrance is of our holy, sacred existence. So by now you're getting a sense of where we're going with all of this and where the invitation lies. The winds carry the whispers. The winds carry the whispers of the mysteries of life. Listen at your peril, as you may well be taken over by their utterances of infinite splendor and expressions too numerous to tell. A song so ancient, so ineffable, yet so entirely known, in the heart of the heart and the guts of the guts. These winds speak of divine love. They speak of the wondrous grace that brings us to this moment. But most of all, they speak of the utter mystery at the heart of it all.
If they're all this short, you could read the whole book, Imogen.
They are. In fact, some of them are shorter, a few longer ones than this. But yes, I could probably. There's 97 poems in total here. That's what you have. And so we'll do with one last one here. We are the perfect symphony of what must be. Let yourself sink into the recognition of this. And you will find that every note guides you back to self. Every experience reveals the light that you are. So yeah, this is the book.
Hi, I wanted to say something.
Please.
I'm working on my house, so hopefully you'll be able to still hear me, but I wanted to say something. I thought the poems were really beautiful, and it was a felt experience for me. I really appreciate that, and I have a question for you regarding the audio. Are you going to be using your own voice?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, to me, that's the whole sense of it, is that it's actually the transmission is there in the voice. It's there in the words. The feeling of it is in the words, but also in the voice. So yeah, the plan is, I've already started recording it. So yeah.
Beautiful. Because, I mean, your voice is so beautiful and very soothing. And it's, I love hearing your voice. So that's, want to make sure about that. Okay.
Yes, that's the plan. That is the plan.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Please just jump in if you have questions. I'd love to.
I don't know if this is
comments. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a question.
Yeah, I wanted to know what
Alara
just said. Yeah, that your voice definitely carries a transmission. And if you guys see me crying, I cry when I hear deep truth. What I call really, just takes you back to yourself. It's just universal truth. And each one of your poems just pierced me, you know. I mean,
Beautiful.
after the first 4 or 5 lines in your first one, I just, and then it kept happening. I thought, okay, maybe just one. But it's like, oh no, all of them. And it just, you know, it is, you're speaking to my heart. You know, it's just
Good.
like, how rare is that to have it put into words, you know, and you just so eloquently accomplish that. And yeah,
thank you.
I'll just say that. And there's something, I'm in the process of making a film called Pulling Back the Veil. And I would like to talk to you about maybe using your voice and those words to introduce the film.
I'd love that. Yeah. Well, we need to catch up as well, and let's set that up. Let's have a Zoom. I would love to hear about your project. Yes, and thank you, Denise.
Thank you. Kudos. Big kudos.
Thank you. Thank you. I know this one of the tears. I mean, I have tears right now as well. But I know this one of tears when you touch those sort of profound truths that wake your heart up and sink you into yourself further. This is my experience of life too. The tears that flow from there. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Are there any other questions, comments? I don't know, anything that's there for anyone here?
As a side note, if anyone hasn't had any spiritual experiences from reading a book, I've had 2 pretty deep spiritual experiences from just reading a book with no voice or anything. So it's, I don't know how it works. I can't even try to explain it, but it's possible.
It really is. Yeah, I completely agree. In many ways, actually, you know, the thing with reading books is you can really take your time. You can really sink into it, and you can really feel the gaps in between the words, the space, the sort of the pregnant space of what it points to. So even in some ways, reading books has a different quality to it that allows you to really slow right down with it and really feel what is being spoken about there. What have I got on my list of I have a request for everyone who feels like it to write reviews on Amazon if you would feel you want to do that, because right now I'm a nobody on Amazon, and so any reviews that come my way are gonna bump it up further up the list. So if anyone reads the book and feels like they want to review, I don't think you even have to have purchased it through Amazon to be able to write a review, is my understanding at least. So please, I put out my arms full for reviews here. And anyone that feels like doing that, you'd be very appreciated to have that. And on that note, the book, both the ebook and the print, are available on Amazon. If you, for whatever reason, don't want to navigate Amazon and want to buy it directly from me, you can. I will just be asking for the shipping costs, which, of course, depending on where you are, can start to add up. So Amazon is probably going to be your cheapest option. But if you want to buy it from me, you're very welcome to as well. All right. Any feel free to say anything. Otherwise, this is going to be a very short meeting, but which it can be.
Then I jump in.
Please. Hello.
I just want to share. I have had the same experience Denise described. And I can still sink into this feeling and feel my tears coming. It was really, really beautiful hearing you reading the poems, and it really touched me deeply. And
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe a question, I don't know if you mentioned it or not, I don't know, but did you self-publish or did you work with
I did.
With a publisher, or I don't know?
Yeah, so I had planned on working with a publisher, and so when this book came about, there was a sense of April. I had this sort of sense of April timing. I didn't know where it came from. It just came very strongly. It needs to be released in April. And January rolled around, and I had all these poems raw. Like, they were all done, they were raw, but I hadn't done anything with it. But I had this sense, I'm gonna get a publisher. I actually wanted to do it with a hardback. I had a very particular vision, and I started looking into it, and I was like, oh no, this is too much. I need to. And actually, the self-publishing option seemed like a better option, and a quicker option, because suddenly within, it was about under a space of a week, there was this, like, it all just came together. It was really quite amazing how it came to be. Just from the idea of, no, I want to do this, because up before January, it was the end of January even, I had no idea that it was actually going to happen, even though they were all done. But I didn't know what was going to come. So it was the end of January. I was just looking up the date earlier. Towards the end of January, it just all fell into place very, very quickly. Within 5 days, even, the sense of, I'm going to go with self-publishing. And then someone who has come to retreats before, they are a copy editor and a proofreader, and they kindly said that, and they'd encouraged me the year before to publish a book. And so, he looked over the book and edited it and did a really beautiful job. And Martin helped me greatly as well. You'd just see he's disappeared. The internet must be not so good. But so they both helped me with, just reading it over, proofreading. But Amazon self-publish is basically what I went with in the end. And it was, I had to learn a lot to do it, but it was a relatively painless experience, I would say. It felt like it was just being carried. There was, lots of details, lots of things to do, but just everything came, including the artwork on the book. Martin just found this. It's actually a painting. I don't know if you can sort of see that. But Martin found this one day, and he just was like, this is beautiful. And it was a complete, an artist who was happy to have their work so used in this way. So it just everything came together seamlessly for this book. But yes, self-published. That's
beautiful. Yeah, I was also wondering about the cover, because I saw, or it felt like a painting. So it's a really beautiful painting.
It wasn't what I originally imagined, but it's absolutely perfect. So
that's great.
So we have Martin to thank for that. Just talking about the cover. Say again? Not for painting it. No, for finding it though. Yeah, definitely.
It sounded like in the beginning of the meeting, you were, maybe this isn't right, but it sounded like you were going to share this more with the spiritual community. And I feel like share it with everybody, and don't let anybody know what's going on, and who knows what happened.
Yes, when this released last night, I said a little prayer at the time that it released, and the prayer was along the lines of, let anyone who is wanting to hear this find this book upon their doorstep. That was the gist of the prayer. And I agree. It's not aimed at the spiritual community only. It's it's poetry. It's poetry for the heart. My hope is that they will feel, people who come upon this will feel the transmission of it. But yeah, I completely agree with you, Rob. It's to set it loose.
Lately, you've been talking, you've mentioned it here and there, but you haven't gotten into the story, so this might be more appropriate on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But if this applies,
okay.
You've been talking about Mary a lot.
Yes.
Is this tied into that?
Everything's tied into that for me. but yes. Mother Mary has been my path, has come to me in my path in latter years, quite unexpectedly. And she informs very much my own journey, I feel. And the fragrance of this is of that. And the way these poems came, this was not a thought process of like, right, I'm going to sit down and write poetry. It's like almost like something that is coming on the winds. And often it felt, as these poems were coming and I was writing them down, it felt that she was very much there with me, sort of whispering these in my ear almost, as was the sort of the fragrance of it. So yes, even though it's not overt in this book, it's everywhere within that, because it's everywhere within me, I would say, currently at least.
Would you care to expand on this Mother Mary thing?
Give me something more than just expand. What do you mean by expand?
How does it hit you that it's Mother Mary? Did she come out and say it's Mother Mary? You said you're not really religious.
No. No.
How was the connection made that that's who it is or what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it a spirit? Is it something you see, you hear?
Yes, and yes is the shortest answer to that. But I didn't recognize it as Mother. I'm actually, my second book I'm starting to write now, and it's all about this. So it's all about that journey. You'll get all of that in detail. I don't know when it's going to come out. I don't know how long it'll take me, but that's what happened. I started to feel the energy. I didn't know what it was years ago. When I started to give the transmissions, actually, maybe 6 months into the transmissions, there was this different fragrance of an energy coming. And I didn't know what that was for years. And as the years have gone on, more and more of that has been revealed to me in both sight, sound, and sense of it. To me, we're talking of the divine, and it shows up in different ways as we show up in different ways. So ultimately, it is still the one consciousness of life, the one divine consciousness of life. But it just so happens my personal relationship with that shows up in the form of Mother Mary, in the fragrance of Mother Mary. And she's often very present with me in that way. So yeah, that's she's revealed herself both in vision and in words, that's who she is. So yeah.
And then obviously this is up to you, but how about a spontaneous open the book to a couple different poems that's just right for this moment?
Yeah, I can do that. We shall see what happens. Okay, this is an interesting one. This is the first page I opened. To soften to life is to sink into the tender open heart of curious welcoming. To gaze upon life with the fresh eyes of innocence. To surrender all sense of certainty and swim courageously into the mystery. Let's see what else we have to say. Surrender, surrender, surrender. All is eaten up. all is included when we surrender so utterly to life in all its forms. Surrender, surrender, surrender. To the heart that breaks open, love rushes through. Surrender, surrender, surrender. Even our notions of surrendering or not. What are we left with when all else falls away? Everything, and yet nothing other than the self.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
I'd like to share something. I'm in the middle of moving, so I'm not even meant to be here, but I didn't want to miss this opportunity. And so my head's all over the place. But it's really interesting. I'm not even sure I'm hearing the words, and I don't have tears, but it feels like my heart is beating deeper when I hear
Beautiful.
Whatever it is I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's the transmission of it that I invite you all to sink into wholly. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is not for the mind. This book is not a book for the mind. This is definitely a book for the heart. All right. Anyone else have anything they want to share or ask any questions? That really, I'm literally an open book here. Please.
Hi, Imogen. I was wondering, the poems are just amazing. It's amazing how you feel them. And just wondering a bit about the process. Did you find you had to revise the poems a lot, or were they sort of just you wrote them and they were done?
The editing, what was so beautiful, his name was Will, who did the editing and proof. I'm sure he wouldn't mind his name because he was really beautiful in this process of editing with him. He was such a light touch. And there was barely anything that we had this whole discussion, the three of us, Martin, Will, and myself, about commas. There's barely a comma or a full stop. In fact, there's no full stops in the book other than the prologue and about me page at the very end. And there's very few commas, maybe a handful of them. And so there was this whole discussion. That was actually the most editing, I would say, of the whole book, was the discussion about the commas and the full stops. But in terms of the words, pretty much the poems came as they came. I think, I can think of a handful of words that were edited or changed in some way, and the commas, and pretty much that was it. Even the order of it was very, very lightly touched. There are some older poems in there that had come throughout the years, just a few of them here and there, because they felt that they were of the same quality. But for the most part, this book wrote itself. And it literally, when I say it was like a whisper that was sort of coming through the wind, that's what it felt like. Many of them came at nighttime, and I'd wake up and I'd type them, tap, tap, tap away on my phone. But every time I sunk into silence, they would also come. So it was a very short period of time actually that they came, and there wasn't much editing that was needed actually, or overall, very, very little.
That's fascinating. And you alluded to it a bit. So it sounds like you wrote them on your phone, or would you write them?
Yeah, wherever I could, whenever they were there. I missed quite a few as well. That's what's interesting, is the ones that didn't make it into the book is just as fascinating to me as the ones that did, because to me, I trust whatever sort of made it in there, but there was plenty that I just wasn't. I was driving, or, something was going on where, capturing them just wasn't going to happen. And so those ones, they're in the winds, they weren't meant to be in this book. But yeah, that was kind of how it all came to be. It was very effortless and without much, there was no effort on my personal part, I felt, in any of this, other than the details about trying to set up Amazon accounts and all the rest of that sort of stuff. Obviously had a lot of thought put into it in that way, but yeah, for the most part, it was completely effortless in the actual sense of making the book.
Interesting. And are poems still coming to you? Will there be a part 2? Or
actually, for the most part, they stopped. After this book, they stopped. They occasionally do. I always, I put on, particularly Instagram, and it goes onto my website, I put little short snippets of things that come. But this quantity and this length and this quality of poem, it's like they wanted to be spoken out and then they were done. And maybe there'll be a part 2, I don't know. But right now, there's a lot of other things coming. For instance, in the form of, and actually the second book, there's a whole story to that, which I won't tell here today, but that will be part of that book. But how that came to be has also got its own story, and has a completely different flavor and not at all what I expected to come next. So yeah, it's not my choosing, it's not my making, it's just how it came about, and it's been perfect in that way, I'd say.
Well, thank you for sharing. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Your conversations with God moment.
Oh, for sure. Yes, definitely. Yeah, it is very much akin to that.
I just have one complaint.
Okay.
Which is that the book is so beautiful and your voice is so beautiful, I'm going to have to get both.
Okay, I'll take that complaint. All right, everyone. Unless there's any further comments or questions or whatever else there may be, maybe we'll wrap this beautiful gathering up. So I want to make sure that I've got everyone here on my list. I think I have got everyone. So the plan for anyone who arrived late is I've written all your names on a list against numbers, and I'm now going to open up an app that randomly picks a number. So let's see, number 7. Rob. So, Rob, if you would send me your address via email, I will send you a signed copy of the book as soon as I can.
Nice, thank you. Can we close out with one more spontaneous?
Let's do that. That would be lovely. Thank you for the encouragement of there we go, of reading out a book, a poem. Okay, this one's quite nice. I'll show it to you as well because it has a nice. It sits on the page nicely. Together we dance in the light of the divine, revealing our nature as none other than that. The tender green shoots of recognition grow into the mighty oak of realization, and our beating heart awakens to the truth that all is love. Thank you, everyone, for celebrating this moment with me. And I really do appreciate you all for taking your time today with me. And I can't wait to hear your feedback about this book and how it sits in you further. All right, everyone. Thank you. Bye for now.